Hello everyone and welcome to Send You a Message. If you just excuse me just 1 second. Oi! Oi! Wake up!
What? Breakfast, what?
What the hell are you doing?
What? Oh, now that we've got the new studio sorted, I'm living here for a bit. It's much nicer than my actual house. Still very, very lifestyle-y, isn't it?
Live here as a working studio.
Yeah, working studio with an amazing TV. Just don't worry about it, guy. You'll hardly notice me.
Get off the couch. Get
No!
off the
Leave me alone!
couch.
I'm sleeping!
Question 1 this week is from Yeoman PR, presumably the public relations firm hired to improve the frankly appalling public image of Yeoman. Apparently their charm offensive involves Spec Ops The Line in some ways. They want to know what's new for the game.
Things went quiet for a while on 2K's Stand 'em Up, but the game popped out of hiding recently, and we were able to catch up with the game's producer to get a few details on what to expect.
Yeah, what it really is it's a third-person cover-based military shooter with a really strong emphasis on telling a really dark, mature story. The game takes place in Dubai, but it's a near-future Dubai where it's been destroyed by sandstorms. And there's this legendary army colonel who has defied his orders to leave the place and tried to evacuate and then hasn't been heard from. And they finally pick up a radio transmission from him, so they send in the squad to rescue him. And then they're just going in and they're trying to take care of that, and some crazy stuff happens along the way, and you get to kind of watch them fall apart as they go through all these terrible situations. In terms of weaponry, we wanted to have a mix of old favorites, so you have things like, the M4, you have the AK-47. We have a couple more extreme weapons, I guess. Like we have the AA-12 fully automatic shotgun, which has been in a few games before, but in our version we use the explosive rounds. So you'll just, chew through things and devastate things. And then we also wanted to just grab a few other weapons that we hadn't seen in other games before. I think probably the most exciting thing about this game to me is really seeing just this dark narrative, and I think we've done a lot of really cool things with that. And I mean, even systemically, like one thing we do that I've never seen in a game before is we generically change the voices as you kind of go throughout the game. So so there's obviously as the script goes on, like different, they'll behave different later in the game. But even just something as simple as like when you throw a grenade, like the way the guy says "grenade out" at the beginning. By the end of the game, you can hear it in his voice that he's more ragged and he's more torn up and he's been through things, and the things that he says and how he says them all change.
What are you doing?
Oh, sorry, did you want some?
No, I don't want some. Just do that in your own house. Just answer the question.
All right. Here it is. What is KNG Dark Force waiting for? Breakfast in bed? Want us to fetch his slippers for him?
It says right there he's after info on aliens, colonial marines.
Look into my eye.
Well, KNG, to answer your second question first, the storyline of Alien Colonial Marines has been written by Battlestar Galactica writers Bradley Thompson and David Weddell, and it's described as a true sequel to James Cameron's film.
Titanic?
No, not Titanic. Aliens, obviously.
Oh.
It takes place after the events of Alien 3, which you may remember as the one set on a prison colony with a bunch of violent dudes, then Sigourney Weaver jumps in a furnace.
Yep, unforgettable. You play a guy called Winter, a colonial marine on a search and rescue squad sent to check out the Sulaco, which you will recall is the ship from Aliens that contained the search and rescue squad sent to check out the colony of LV-426.
So they're sending a search and rescue squad to find the previous search and rescue squad?
They are, yeah.
What happens if this one goes missing?
Then they send out another search and rescue squad, but then that's it. There's only three.
Seems pretty short-sighted. So, as you're looking for the guys from Aliens, you can expect to see plenty of environments from the James Cameron film. James Cameron film Aliens. For bits of the game that featured in Aliens, Gearbox has worked from the original set designs, and new areas have been designed by Sid Mead, a concept artist who worked on the movie to keep them in line with the grimy 1980s feel of the original locations.
Now, to answer your first question, KNG, the gameplay is pretty much what you'd expect from an Aliens game about colonial marines. You work with a squad of absolute badasses trying to survive against hostile xenomorphs using weapons from the movie like pulse rifles with little beepy motion trackers on them, flamethrowers, smart guns.
Harsh language?
No, not harsh language. That's a terrible idea. How would that work?
Never mind. You'll also be welding shut doors, setting up sentry guns, and utilising power loaders against the aliens, which include new, never-before-seen Xenos like the Crusher alien seen in the trailer, who really you don't want to mess with. Bad news.
The game will have a multiplayer element, but Gearbox hasn't revealed exactly what it's going to entail just yet. However, in an interview with GameSpot, Gearbox co-founder, the model Brian Martell, said that you could use your imagination to figure out what it's going to contain. So, like, what, unicorns?
More like Aliens versus Marines, most likely.
That's not very imaginative.
Fun, though. You'll be able to see for yourself when the game releases in autumn this year, anyway.
Awesome.
Get that out of here.
What? I can't make food. I can't order food. What the hell?
Marcus Cole is pumped for Far Cry 3.
How pumped is he?
So pumped.
That's pretty pumped. Well, thanks for conveying your pump levels, Marcus. I'm pumped that you're pumped.
Stop saying pumped. Anyway, Mr. Pumpy here wants to know if there's any new news or such like regarding the game. He's so...
Pumped?
Excited for. And there is! Ubisoft has just released an all-CG trailer that sets up the story, introduces hero Jason Adrian Brody, and re-establishes that Vast, the bug-eyed nutter introduced in the first trailer, is still completely off his rocker.
Truth is, it doesn't really reveal anything new from a game standpoint, but it does tell you a little bit more about your Abercrombie and Fitch model's motivation for going gun crazy. That'd be a dead friend and missing love interest, and refills your wub-wub tanks if you've been dubstep deprived as of late.
The only truly useful info revealed is that Far Cry 3 now has a confirmed European launch date of 7th of September, which gives Ubisoft just over 6 months to keep taunting us with new details.
Yep, Ubisoft's been going against the grain recently by actually specifying release dates for its games. During a recent conference call for Ubisoft investors, Ubi boss Yves Guillemot confirmed that Assassin's Creed 3, which is rumoured to be set during the American Revolution, will launch on the 30th of October.
Interesting tactic, wonder if it'll catch on. If you want to watch the Far Cry 3 trailer in full, head to the URL on screen right now. You don't live here, stop doing that.
Right, sorry.
Okay, now mild-mannered Tommy Slessor is conspicuously never around when supervillains are wrecking up the place. But he gets some pretty amazing pictures of Spider-Man, so I guess we'll let him off. He wants to know if there are any new games being released this year featuring his favourite sticky superhero.
Well, you're in luck, Tommy, as we'll be seeing the amazing Spider-Man game this summer, timed to coincide with the movie reboot of Spider-Man's origin story.
There's a movie reboot of Spider-Man's origin story. They did the origin story in 2002.
Yeah, but people can't be expected to remember that. It was 10 years ago.
The third one was in 2007. Are you saying that people watching that going, how the hell is this guy sticking to walls and jumping around on strings and stuff? Why aren't they explaining any of this?
Well, regardless, they're doing it.
Well, what's the point of it if it doesn't have a scene where Spider-Man fights Macho Man Randy Savage and Bruce Campbell's the ring announcer?
Shh, please. The game is being made by Beenox, the guys who made the previous two Spider-Man games, Spider-Man Edge of Time and Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Not a great deal has been seen of the game yet, but there have been a couple of trailers so far. The first one from the Spike VGA Awards goes a bit into the story of the game.
Yeah, it starts showing Oscorp mass-producing robots for the security of the city, which, hilariously, are robot spiders covered in machine guns. These are apparently to protect the city from biological attacks, somehow.
In a turn of events no one could possibly have predicted, these robots turn on the city and it's up to Spider-Man to stop them, battling the smaller robots in the street before taking the fight to a giant arachnid robot as the trailer ends.
According to a press release, the game picks up where the film ends, with Pete being thrown into a new exciting storyline fighting a variety of bad guys, from criminals on the street to interpretations of the fans' all-time favourite villains, to try and save New York from devastation.
The second trailer is a lot more promising, showing Spider-Man using his non-organic web shooters to move seamlessly through the New York skyline, hinting at a freedom that many complained was absent from Beenox's previous Spider-Man games.
The press release accompanying the trailer then goes on to say that Spider-Man comes face to face with Rhino, which is slightly confusing as this is clearly just that giant spider robot again.
Yeah, maybe they've gone with a controversial new interpretation of Rhino by having him turn into a giant spider robot.
Yeah, that or it's a mistake in the press release.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you can expect Rhino to be in the game as well.
I guess we'll find out when the game and movie release this summer. What? IR Carlos's efficient query may give the impression that he's the cool, collected type, but read between the lines of his query about Mass Effect 3's Kinect compatibility and you'll see that we're dealing with a man on the edge. That's panic right there.
It's alright, Carlos, step away from the knife drawer. Mass Effect 3 is only part of the Enhanced with Kinect range of Xbox games, which means it's certainly not essential to play it.
Exactly, there's no need to fret. If you wish to continue gunning down Reapers, making dubious moral decisions and trying to charm the disease-resistant bodysuits off female Quarians using just a controller, that's still entirely up to you, even if that Quarian will die, you sick monster.
What we will say, however, is that the Kinect features do come in handy, especially in the heat of combat, where you can leave your hands free to focus on lining up your next shot while you issue commands to your squad mates using just your voice.
That's really the beauty of Mass Effect 3's Kinect implementation. You can use it as much or as little as you wish, as it only uses Kinect's impressive voice recognition capabilities, so you won't have to worry about performing outlandish gestures in the middle of a heated firefight or during the game's more tender moments.
Well, not even for the Shepherd Shuffle. pity. If you're a Kinect-owning Mass Effect lover, the best way to judge if the new voice commands are a paragon of innovation or just a renegade feature getting in the way of your fun is to download the demo available from the Xbox Live Marketplace. The multiplayer component has just been unlocked too, so you'd be madder than a violent starved Krogan to ignore our advice. Evan Dempsey is after info on Dragon's Dogma's online features.
Yes, Dragon's Dogma is Capcom's upcoming open-world fantasy action-adventure game that we mentioned last time, because you get it free if you buy the Resident Evil 6 demo.
Satire, it's very good. Yes, all attention is on Resident Evil 6 right now, but Dragon's Dogma is shaping up to be a great game in its own right, so maybe don't just chuck it in the bin the second you've wrestled the demo code out of the box, eh?
So, online-wise, Dragon's Dogma doesn't have a traditional multiplayer mode. However, it does have an online feature in the form of its pawn system. That's PAWN before you ask.
Throughout the game, you have a party of up to 4 people. Your player character, 3 companions known as pawns. You have a main pawn who follows you through the game and develops and levels up as you do, and 2 support pawns. Here's where the online feature comes in. You can loan out your main pawn to become another player's support pawn. They gain experience from playing with other players, and when you take them back, they'll have gained new knowledge of enemy weak points and dungeon layouts from their adventures on another console.
Likewise, you can hire other people's pawns to help you out as well, educating them and growing their skills for other people. It's a pretty innovative online feature, and we can't wait to see how it works in action when the game releases on the 22nd of May in North America and the 25th of May in Europe.
We're not sure what Rated ME is Rated ME for, nor what ME stands for, or even if it's actually a sentient rating or just a person. Whatever he, she, or it is, they're wondering if there's any new info regarding Max Payne's third outing.
Well, since we've been off air, solid details of Max Payne 3's multiplayer have surfaced, and true to Rockstar's winning form on both GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption, it looks to be just as compelling a proposition as the single-player experience.
Obviously, Max prefers to play on his own, the baby, and so the multiplayer imbues a selection of much more social avatars with Max's trademark moves and abilities, while Payne himself takes a back seat as narrator. Rather than dabbling in trad deathmatch territory, Rockstar has opted for a unique core mode called Gang Wars.
Now, what makes Gang Wars interesting is that it dynamically sets new objectives for each round based on the events of the previous round. The example Rockstar demonstrated starts in the aftermath of a drug deal gone awry, with opposing teams attempting to nab bags of cash and drop them off at a safe point. Once that round's over, the conditions of the next round could be dictated by the performance of the team, so you may be called upon to capture the dominant team's territory, or it could be influenced by a standout player who might then have a bounty placed on their head.
In effect, it's unlikely that any 2 bouts will follow quite the same path, which should come as a relief to those of us who are stuck in endless cycles of kill-confirmed purgatory, i.e. us.
As is the trend for this sort of thing, Max Payne 3 features upgradable player-enhancing perks called bursts. Fortunately, they're as innovative as the rest of the game, and so alongside the classic bullet time, which cleverly only slows down the actions of enemies in your line of sight, you can also opt for things like sneaky, which makes your gamertag appear friendly to your rivals, and paranoia, which makes your enemies' teammates look like hostiles.
Ultimately, it's still about diving around and increasing the lead content of other people's bodies, but it's great to see Rockstar giving us a new reason to pull the trigger. And that's it for this week's Ansomatic newsfeed. But hey! Something questions. Send them to our gamertag Send You a Message, or email us on sendyouamessage@hotmail.com.
Or you can Facebook us at facebook.com/sentyouamessage, or tweet our Twitters at sentyouamessage.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Who are these guys?
They're some game developers I invited for an interview for work.
No, it's not. We're for their party.
Yes, the game interview, party game interview for the new party game that's coming out.
Yeah, I'll leave you guys to it.
Yeah, I think he bought it.